Okay, so I am not quite sure how my audio is working out, but we're going to make this work. 3.17 Live is here. Yeah, I am spawned up in Golden Circle Orison. So anyone who saw my last video, they understand that I logged out on the side of ArcCorp. Sorry. Oh, real quick. Logged off on the side of Microtech, out about a few hundred kilometers outside of New Babbage. This go around, I decided to spawn at our wonderful Orison here. And despite the looks of this gloomy cloud effect, you can breathe here. So we take advantage of that, and hopefully, there we go, the Snoopy cap came off. Now, a lot of times you'll notice other players running around with those caps. That's not intentional. That's just how it is, plain and simple. I don't really care about the rest of this, to be honest. But anyway, right now, Orison is what it is. It is looking very strongly to be the top contender for... Still having the elevator glitch, huh? That we saw on 3.17 PTUs, the later ones. Call the elevator once, call it again, now it appears. Anyway, it is one of the top contenders for Fleet Week this year. It is strongly looking that way, and if the rumor mill is to be believed, not only is Fleet Week going to be here, but also a first-person shooter platforming thing. And not as in platformer as a game, like jumping around like in Mario. We're talking about a platformer as in there'll be 5 different platforms to fight over, and that'll be basically the world that you're going to be fighting in against some kind of forces. So, Orison is an interesting place in 3.17. I would say that it is ready, a lot more ready than it was previously. We were talking before about this, if you followed my other videos, but this world was extremely hard on even top grade PCs, and if you had an average PC or below, basically a lot of people just ignored Orison altogether, or came in for a lag fest and then left. What I've seen on Orison since is that it is basically catching up in its performance and polish, as well as the beauty that it is, which is good. Let me slow down my walk here a little bit. And Orison. The biggest thing to take home from here, if Fleet Week is held here, which is highly likely, is that when you come outside, when you hang right out the elevators and you hang on the right and get out of here, right across the way, you have all the different services, the trade center. Then you also have the mall for food and everything else, and of all things, a convenience store that sells weapons. But one of the other interesting things is you will still have the Crusader showroom. Now, I strongly feel that because of the Crusader showroom and these active shuttles and all these resources across the way that you can physically go over and pick stuff up and buy, etc., etc., they will put the Fleet Week on one of these shuttles. And the same thing with the first-person shooter type environment, if that is going to be a thing. So you will jump on one of these shuttles after you log in, if you're just coming in to see the show or find different things to do. And you will follow these shuttles. Now, here, the interesting thing about this shuttle itself is taking us to Providence, which is where they build the ships. So you can see like the Hercules being under construction, these huge ships and such, like the M.2 and the C2. I think it's the C2 on display. You can see them being welded together. But also, you can go check out Crow's Customs, and you can actually buy parts for your ship there that are only found there. And see a little bit more about the remakes for the massive Kraken ships. the only Drake capital ships, the Privateer and the vanilla Drake Kraken. Now, I have an entire video about that. I can put it at the end if you're interested. Uh, Traditionally, Drake is not invited to Fleet Week, and they basically make their own Fleet Week. So I would strongly suspect that Crow's Customs, who already has ties to Drake Interplanetary, they literally convert their capital class vessels for them to the Privateer and back. Which, by the way, that is something I will just say in this video. I'm not going to make you jump around videos. You can convert them. So if there's one for sale and you want to pick it up, or you already have a ship sitting in buyback and you're looking hard at it, you can convert one to the other. And of course, those ships will be available in game. You do not have to purchase them ahead of time, and you will also be able to convert them over here at the Crow's Customs area. But what I strongly suspect is that Orison will be what will be finalized as the Fleet Week headquarters, so to speak, and then Crow's Customs will be where the Drake sales pitches will be done, because traditionally they have like they have at the end of Fleet Week Drake's Defense Fest or Defense event or something, and it's like it's last year I think it was like literally just shoved into a corner, not at the same location as the rest of the events, and it was actually pretty cool. It was in like the like a dock areas, and this is Crow's Customs, by the way, and I would not be shocked if they have some type of Drake style event at least tied in with Crow's Customs, or mentions of it here with some more holograms, and hey, be sure to visit the Drake event, follow the shuttle, and go over there. Like, I don't know if they want to take a polished site that has NPCs that work and also has all these shops and such, and turn around and try to make it something for just an event that's only a couple days long. But I do think that they would have some type of tie-in with Crow's Customs. Although that's just my speculation. I have nothing to back that up with, other than the fact that Drake does have a partnership with these folks, and is, you know, one of the few places you can actually see a lot of Drake's bigger ships really on display that are not flyable yet. Like, for example, this Drake Kraken right in front of you on a hologram. These are the same type of hologram technologies that you will see at Fleet Week, and you will see at the IAE Interplanetary Expo, which you do have Drake Day for. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So Drake will be part of these events. I'm bringing this up because this is the biggest question I get most of the time from people is, where's Drake? Why no Drake? And Drake isn't listed on the list, but informally, community members that have been around for a bit, we know that every year Drake has their own little mini event, the defense event, after the official Fleet Week. And the reason why is because the people that are available, the manufacturers that are invited to Fleet Week, are they're contractors for the UEE Navy. And so if the UEE Navy and if the advocacy, which are like the police of the game, if they don't buy your stuff, so the government's not buying your stuff, basically you're not invited to this Fleet Week. So Drake says, you know what, fine, we'll make our own event, and you can think of the rest of the Bender quote if you'd like. Blackjack. And you get the drift. And so Drake tends to have their own. I think the motto last year was, when everyone else is left, who will protect you? And it was kind of a veiled threat or reference to Fleet Week comes and goes. The fleet abandons you. They're only there when their interests are there. We sell for the little guy to protect himself, is kind of the argument I think they're making. So you can see some of the custom work that they do to this ship. This looks like a 100i that's been customized by them. You can see a few small ships here. There's a Cuddy here that was... I argued successfully that this was looking pretty much like a custom Cutlass that was going to be released, and sure enough, we had the Cutlass Steel come out, and pretty much I think this was the bed for that, to show a lot of the ideas for that ship. So another thing to keep an eye on throughout 3.17 and 3.17.1, which will probably be when they release Invicus, jump week information is going to be if you start seeing stuff in Crow's Customs appearing. So, of course, I'll be covering 3.17.1 PTUs when they get there. From what I understand, I believe the Evo boys are just getting a hold of 3.17.1. And I believe that's public info. And beyond that, I have no idea. And I'm not part of Evo. So, what's interesting is after that will be the PTU for probably Wave 1, 2 baggers, and then more. As a reminder, if you're frustrated by that, where you're, hey, heck, I'm not part of the testing right off the bat, remember to file your issue council things that you find. So if you find a bug like that elevator issue and other things, file. And if you do a quick search before you file on the issue council forum, you will find the system. You will find that there is plenty of people that have already touched that. So what you'll do is upvote those things, add comments to if it's still an issue or not. And the more you take part, the more you will have a higher opportunities. So you'll go to the upper waves of the test servers and get into those PTU clients faster. Looks like they've stepped up their game on the security staff around here. So most of the security, if you go over to August Dunlow and some other fine places around here, they're carrying around like was it 6 sticks from Minority Report or something like that? Like futuristic looking batons, basically. That fellow's in armor and weapon and has a rifle. No helmet. Okay. So anyway, back to Kovalex. The usual information is back here. Sometimes there's hidden armor, by the way, over here that you can't get other places. When the Aril first came out, this set ARIL, there was a color pathway you could only get here that was in blue and white. And as you can see now, the one on display is the yellow one. And this looks like the Horizon set. Okay. And if I go over here, I think I just tried to use this and it gave me a hard time, but yep, it's giving me a hard time for whatever reason. But anyway, so there's events that you can turn stuff in, like delivery boxes and such. There is a store here that'll probably be running, I'm certain, when the event comes in. Wherever they host an event, it gets another pass. So basically, it's going to be at its tip top when it shows up. There will be a heavy player load at the event. I strongly expect them to add in a special platform or a special or location that's already there but just fully developed, just for the incoming Fleet Week event and possible FPS type stuff, and that will be nowhere near here because it can't be. And I would just say that that would be good for performance as you're loading in. You will not have dozens of other players and all those ships that are at a major event that is here. Now, if you do go to the Fleet Week and so veterans, you can skip ahead, I guess, a little bit, jump to the next chapter. But if you go to the event, you can rent any ship there that's on display that day for 0 UEC. And it's usually a 24 or 48 hour rental. I say it that way because I think it's supposed to be a 24, but a lot of times it seems like it takes a long time, up to 48 hours, for it to be cleared out of your account, if ever. Some people, I can remember, telling me years back about how they had rentals that were weeks old and they didn't clear them out, but I think they fixed that since. Anyway, you will then get back in the shuttle on that loop that will be there for the event, and you will go over to August Dunlow Spaceport, which we're going to now. Now, August Dunlow Spaceport is it's just like a lot of them, a lot of the spaceports out there. It's like a tiered system. You get off the shuttles. In other places, it could be a train. In other places, it could be, well, that's about it. Train or a shuttle at the planetary landing locations we have so far. And then you would go over to the elevators. By the way, that's the Hercules. I don't know why I didn't show you at the construction area back on Providence, but feel free to check it out when you're there. It's actually really cool to see one under construction. And they also have an exploded diagram of an engine off of one of those. and then a cockpit in the ship the place that shows off the ships, the showroom, the Crusader showroom. And being as this is a Crusader location, the special color for the Jump Week this year would definitely be the Crusader colors, these blue and white colors, and of course the UAE Navy colors. I think the UAE Navy shirt was actually dark navy with white writing anyway. It's pretty close. I mean, it's just it's a darker shade of blue. But anyway, so when you run through here, because why not? Don't forget there is a ship rental. If you don't like, for whatever reason, every single ship on sale to play with, you can simply rent one for a day or 3 days and pick and choose, and really get a feel for different ships. Don't forget, most packages for the game include a little bit of UEC. Don't waste it. Pick up a ship that can make you a little bit of money and get some missions done. Try to get at least as much as you spend on rentals, so that way you can continue. Next time you want to jump in the game, you can go jump back in. But during these special events, it's a great time for newer players to get a hold of tons of money-making ships. And you will not have your stuff cleared out for quite some time because of long-term persistence wipes. They don't do wipes where they clear out your money or the ships you've earned in-game, that you've purchased in-game, and most of the items you purchase. So, anyway, so you would go through here, you would pick out the ship that you're excited about, and go with it. Now, I would say some of the surprises I would like to see is, to shut up the concierge folks, I would like to see a concierge club right here be opened, but I sincerely doubt this is going to happen. This is kind of like in the pipe dream category, that this is opened up. The Chairman's Club is code for concierge in game. See the logo in the back there. I don't think the NBC is active, to be honest. But yeah, it's still that old background on the back. Little Easter egg here. You can see a nice pattern on this champagne thing. But anyway, it would be nice to see that open, just to calm people down about that. Just like it would be nice to see interplanetary flights, at least a preview of what that location is going to look like. As a reminder, these flights are eventually going to be places where you'll be able to go onto a ship that is NPC controlled, or at least if they keep to the old word, also player controlled ships will be able to take part in these trips between different planetary landing locations that will drop you off at that location, with and without your gear. I mean, you can choose to just go as yourself, or you can choose to bring gear. Some ships will even have the capability to take vehicle transports and load them in there for you, or cargo with you. So you can set up your entire game without even owning a ship. That's way down the line, but it is a possibility. So anyway, I think Orison is an interesting place. As I walk by these NPCs that are like stuck like this, it frustrates me, but at the same time, you can see my frame rates are pretty good. My last video, I showed off those rocks, and it was it was less than good, but I'm looking and I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I don't know how much of this is actually Gen 12 rendered. Let me jump in a little ship here and kind of just see how these clouds look. In the past, the clouds of Orison have been the real punch in the gut for most players. So I want to show you real quick kind of this mixed bag video. You can see my graphics are at high, scattered object distance is at medium, terrain's at medium, and this is very important. Planetary volumetric clouds are at medium. This is the one you do not want on very high or high. If you want to max out everything else at high and very high, etc., you can, but just understand that planetary volumetric clouds are really going to mess with your system. And that goes without saying. So, as part of my commitment in the last video, I'm trying to do more ships to show you performance and gains and such. So
Vehicle selected. Stand by. Your vehicle has been delivered to the following location.
sure, thanks for that. As a reminder, you have a beacon that appears. You see Hangar 10 right there. That's my code. Even though the screen messed up on the ASOP. There we go. I think these elevators, it's like you spin around and you say Beetlejuice 3 times and look in the elevator and they appear. So that's actually an interesting topic. Why is this live? What the elevators is a major glitch. There's going to be plenty of players that are going to wander onto that elevator and not wait for it to render out and then fall to their deaths. So I'm very curious about why that's in the game, unless it's just a collusion now. It could very well be. I don't want to test it right now. It could very well be that the elevator is there both times. It's just that I don't walk out into the empty space and want to risk it. It's entirely possible that it's actually there. So I feel that CIG had a lot of pressure on them. All their teams had to get this 3.17.0 out the door so they could focus on 3.17.1 and start getting patches for 3.17.0's issues into a 3.17.1 major patch. In the past, and what it looks like it's going to be forming up again this year to be like, is you have these scenarios where you take a major patch, you release it, and then a smaller patch handles the special event that's going around that event. So in this case, it's Fleet Week. And hang on one sec. I'm trying my best to avoid hotkeys nowadays. I'm trying to use the buttons. Supposedly it's more immersive, but I'm not feeling very immersed right now. Is really every button not functioning? There it is. So, what I think is going on here is that 3.17.0 is very buggy. They released it to live in order to create it so it's saying, okay, look, we've got most of the major game breaking bugs finished up. We'll keep working on the bugs we have left. So now we can focus on pushing out the 3.17.1 patch that will support Fleet Week. I suspect in just the coming days, at least in the PTU, there will be a Fleet Week lobby that will be added, and probably those FPS platforms if they are going to be in, if they fully commit to that. Because basically we're down to the wire here. Late May is when Fleet Week is going to have to be, if it follows the schedule it's usually set for. And then I start looking around at these platforms and I think all of these platforms are too close. They're just too damn close. If you, by the way, those tubes in the middle, lore-wise, those tubes that are going between the platforms, they're supposed to be like life support and water and food and such, like methods to get all those things back and forth between the platforms without having to waste shuttle juice, because there is a small amount of fuel used, even though this is low gravity. on their systems that are calibrated for this. Uh, like, for example, those Titan platforms that are going around, these huge ships that are moving around, that are logistics vessels that just move goods. But anyway, those tubes really are elevators as well. And that's kind of what's important for the game. As Orison grows and it becomes more of an actual major planetary landing location, and in the future when servers can have massive amounts of players, who knows, maybe 1,000 players in a single instance, dare I say it. I'm dreaming, but that's kind of where I think their thinking is. We need to have this set up in such a way so what happens when there is a massive amount of folks, so people can log in to different platforms all over this place and be able to get around and get things done. So if you look at August Dunlo specifically itself, the spaceport, this is all the spaceport. This entire area is spaceport. Every one of these platforms. You can even see this platform A section here. Let me see what I'm dealing with here. So if I think about this for a minute from CIG's perspective, I look out and I see a lot of opportunity, but I also see a lot of issues with trying to integrate a major event that the entire server is going to descend upon, even though, to be fair, an entire server could be 50 players. Even with soft caps being increased in some cases, I just don't see it getting much higher right now. Into an area where people are loading in, people are loading ships, people are going to do this, where they load a ship and then they park like 5 feet away from where they started, waiting for their friends, getting their fleet, getting their friends together, uh, testing out different ships and then abandoning them, trying to provoke each other by bumping each other, even though we're in an armistice zone. It's going to get interesting very quickly here. So having the event further away makes sense, but I would definitely keep it on a shuttle route. Just recently, I had a video talking about the idea of having javelins and other large capital class ships, at least just keeping it that big, to player spawnable ships, let's just say. So just javelins. On being able to enter a high atmo orbit around here and dock at another location above that's not so deep into here. So it's even lower gravity than where we're at. And then have a shuttle system that carries it back down. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon if it ever does. For starters, player javelins aren't going to be in for a long time. You're talking about a ship that requires dozens of crew to even skeleton crew it. But what we are going to see is going to... sorry, I stand corrected on that. If you're going to do a single shift of players or NPCs mixed with players, probably you would need a few dozen people to crew it. And then if you try to operate it multiple operational periods across multiple events, multiple time periods, that's when you'd need more than a few dozen people and NPCs mixed together. That's what they found when they did the Idris for Squadron 42. The Idris, I think it was like 28 players slash NPCs. And Squadron 42, obviously, it's a single player. 28 NPCs. But then when they thought about, okay, well, what happens when these 28 people go to sleep? Well, now we need 28 more. Oh no, we can't just have 28 more. We need to have these coverages and such, and all these other things. So back to topic. You would need to have a significant amount of players on these large ships, like the Idris, like the Kraken, and even bigger, the Javelin. But when the Javelin is finally in, after all those other ships, interestingly, most likely, uh, would it be able to come to a place like Orison? And my suggestion was, and multiple players were kind of improving upon my original idea, and we all came up with putting a platform up above that is a significant distance and that a shuttle quickly can take you from all the way up above to down here. The shuttles can already move all over the place, and I believe that Fleet Week, if it's going to be here, will be based on a shuttle taking you to Fleet Week, not Fleet Week being at August Dunlo Spaceport or at the Providence platform. Right there. That was the platform we were just at with Cousin Crow's Customs. Cousin Crow's Custom, yeah. And such. And, I mean, there's a lot of other platforms around. Somebody went around and I think they made a wiki page for each one of these entries. And what's interesting is it's just a picture of each one of these platforms. And it doesn't really make any sense to do that because, well, we know nothing, absolutely nothing about these locations other than they exist. But what we do know that would be interesting is trying to theory craft how these platforms interact. Because notice these big tubes, like we talked about earlier, that can bring people, that can bring water, that can bring nutrients and such different places. What I did find interesting is what if they could bring massive amounts of resources? Maybe even smaller ship parts could be moved between different locations from this. Not out of the realm of possibility. So it puts us in a unique position right now. Uh, Orison will be the place I believe that Fleet Week is going, and that's what all signs are pointing to, pending no catastrophic issues. Remember, Orison was going to be the home of IAE previously, and they had to cut it because of optimization issues. I'm looking at a very optimized Orison. That was kind of my goal with this video, was to talk about Fleet Week, talk about 3.17.1, and where we're at with 3.17 and the current glitches, but talk about like, okay, well, where does that put us? I think this will be a lot of time spent at Orison. So if you're jumping into 3.17.0 right now, it would be very wise to set your home location as Orison if you haven't already, and maybe even do a character reset if you're comfortable with doing so, and picking Orison if you've already picked somewhere else, because this is where all the action will be when 3.17.1 rolls around. To be fair, you'll probably have to pick a home again then, but at least you'll be comfortable with Orison. You'll be used to operating out of there, and more importantly, if you're starting to work with your org mates and or just a group of friends or whatever, you'll all be comfortable with Orison working together out of there. What I've been learning is when I'm working with a few friends and such, we all keep appearing in random places. Oh, so and so's over at Lorville. Oh, we got two guys over at spawning out a New Babbage. They're gonna take a century to get here. So start talking to your folks and consider bringing them into the fold in Orison. Yes, I know it's a little bit more of a pain exiting Atmo in Orison. Yeah, I get it. But for short-term ops, you can go upstairs, which I'll call PO, which if we could see through these clouds would be right there. But having your home set as Orison gives you a very unique position for the upcoming event, gets you comfortable with working out of here, and make sure everyone's on the same page. What good is having a bunch of free ships if you don't have friends and org mates to share them with, and they're not here to hang out with you? So yeah, just some thoughts I had, and this is one of those type of videos I'm going to ask you if you have thoughts and comments and you want to improve on what I've suggested, or um, talk about what you'd like to see with Fleet Week. Please reach out, put them below, or hit me up on Discord like always. And that's all I got for this video. This has just been a short one. And yeah, personally, now that I've got all that out of the way, this is just my opinion, I am looking forward to Fleet Week for just kind of consolidating my fleet. I've always been encouraging folks to look hard at what you actually desperately need. And personally, I'm going to be looking hard at getting some more Starfarer Gemini upgrades from other ships. And that would help consolidate my position on my little Endeavor army. I have CCUs that were really cheap, from Star Gs to Endeavors. So all I need is that point to be able to jump from other ships to the Star G and then directly into the Endeavor. I'm not doing it right now, even though there is some Star Gs for sale right now, because it is a military class vessel. So it will be that upgraded Starfarer will be for sale during Fleet Week, and I want to hold out and see if there's any surprises during Fleet Week that I'm interested in picking up with that store credit instead of those upgraded Star Gs. But yeah, my army of Endeavors would certainly like to have their future assured. That'd be nice to pick up those CCUs, because you never know when something's going to become rare or limited or not CCUable, and then all my CCUs from the Star G to the Endeavor are suddenly unable to be picked up. And um, another thing I've been looking at is upgrading my. I have a freebie Argo Mole and a freebie Drake Drake Dragonfly. So I'd like to get those upgraded into something a little more. Uh, Sorry, not an Argo Mole. An Argo Empov. And don't get me wrong, the Empuv's great, but as a purchased ship, it's not the best unless you're really into that mascot attitude. Once you got your best in show skin paint applied to your account, you can always upgrade that ship. Don't forget. So that's a pretty nice thing to upgrade and get a few more small ships to be able to operate out of. And yes, like I spoke about earlier, don't forget about the graphical settings on the clouds. If there's anything you've gotten from this video, that's an important one. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave this video. This is my first video out of Orison as my new home, getting ready for Fleet Week on 3.17.0 live server, the first iteration of it. So let's see where this goes.